Welcome back to a new episode of Ruote di Storia. Before we dive into today's protagonist, we invite channel if you'd like to see more videos like this one. For you, it's just a small gesture, but for us, it's crucial to continue sharing stories about vehicles that have shaped history. Today, we'll discover the story of a motorcycle tied to an artist, a unique motorcycle, the Rumi Formichino. The Rumi motorcycle traces its roots to Rumi Fonderie Officine, founded in 1906 by Achille Rumi, which initially focused on processing special bronze alloys primarily used in the construction of propellers and periscopes for the Air Force and Navy. From its early years, the company stood out for the quality of its products, which quickly dominated the market and outperformed the competition. Rumi's innovation and technical expertise in the field of special alloys allowed for rapid expansion. Over the years, Rumi's production diversified further. With an expansion of its offerings, the company began manufacturing machinery for the textile industry, marking an important step in its growth. The company achieved significant development, growing to nearly 1,000 employees by 1940, solidifying its position as an industrial leader. In 1927, the Rumi brand, already a symbol of quality and innovation, was enhanced with a logo representing the three essential components of its production: sky, land and sea. The bird wing symbolized the sky, the anvil part the land, and the anchor the sea, a perfect synthesis of the company's identity. In 1955, after Gianni Zonca's victory in the Italian Speed Championship, the brand was further enriched with the addition of the Italian flag, a symbol of national pride. During World War II, the Rumi company was occupied by the Germans, and its resources were directed toward war production, focusing particularly on manufacturing torpedoes. Donnino Rumi, Achilles' son, who in his youth had cultivated a great passion for art, even enrolling in the Accademia Carrara in Bergamo, a path he abandoned at 20 to fully dedicate himself to the family business, did not adapt to the surrounding reality. He decided to join the partisan resistance, was arrested and imprisoned. His release came thanks to the intervention of Betty Ambeveri, one of the most illustrious women in Bergamo's history. After the conflict ended, like many other companies, Rumi had to reconvert its production from wartime to civilian purposes. It was Donnino Rumi who decided to diversify the company's activity, combining the production of textile machines, appreciated in both Italy and Europe, with that of motorcycles. A pivotal encounter in Rumi's history was with Pietro Vasena, a mechanical genius who designed an innovative engine for Rumi motorcycles, marking the beginning of a new era for the company. In 1949, Rumi began producing its first motorcycles, taking an important step toward creating one of its most iconic models, the Formichino. Created by the great Bergamasque technician artist, the Formichino, like all of Rumi's production, stands out for the extreme originality and modernity of its adopted solutions. Highly sought after by collectors, it has become a rare and coveted item. In the mid-1950s, scooters were considered the ultimate mode of private mobility. With a scooter, you could commute to work, participate in gymkhanas, national and regional competitions, or take a Sunday ride with your girlfriend, or even the entire family. At that time, law enforcement had no objections to a driver being accompanied by his wife and a couple of kids on the same seat. The market leaders were Piaggio and Innocenti. Vespa and Lambretta had become symbols of the burgeoning prosperity of a motorized Italy. Small and large motorcycle manufacturers were trying to imitate Vespa and Lambretta to capitalize on their success, and there were plenty of them. However, this was not the case for Rumi. When Donnino Rumi decided to include a scooter in his lineup, he approached it in his unique way, creating something as original and inimitable as his motorcycles. It is said, and it's not hard to believe, that Donnino Rumi conceived his scooter first and foremost as a mobile sculpture, crafting the entire structure in clay, modeling it piece by piece around the engine, the classic twin cylinder of his motorcycles, mounted on a special support that allowed him to work with complete freedom. The result was a vehicle that, despite its age, still offers glimpses of ingenious modernity and inevitably brings to mind the boldest technical aesthetic solutions of the latest generation of scooters. A standout feature of the Formichino, the charming and fitting name of the Rumi scooter, is its load-bearing aluminum alloy body, divided into two parts. The front section is further divided into two shells that house the fork, headlight, and the actual fuel tank. The rear fairing, meanwhile, forms the support for the seats and transitions into the rear mudguard. The engine is centrally placed, serving as a rigid connection between the two shells. It is, as previously mentioned, a horizontal two-stroke twin-cylinder capable of delivering a maximum power of 6.5 horsepower at 6,000 revolutions per minute. The transmission is a 4-speed unit integrated with the engine block, allowing a top speed of 75 km/h. The carburetor is a Dell'Auto UA15S, equipped with a special mesh filter with the air intake directed downward. The engine is the classic Rumi horizontal two-stroke twin-cylinder with a displacement of 124.68 cc, bore and stroke 42x45. The ignition system is a flywheel magneto with 2 breakers and 2 ignitions per cycle. The primary transmission uses gears. The front suspension employs oscillating arms with spring shock absorbers, while the rear uses a load-bearing swing arm with rubber shock-absorbing rings. The wheels are made of split-iron sheets, interchangeable with each other and fitted with 4.00-8 tires. The brakes are drum-type with a diameter of 125 mm. The first Formichino models hit the market in July 1954. These featured a single-arm oscillating front suspension, a sophisticated but rather costly solution. Later, a fork with 2 lower oscillating arms was adopted. In 1956, the rear section of the body was split into 2 parts, and a Veglia speedometer odometer was added to the handlebar pivot. The Formichino's good market success led Rumi to develop the sport version, presented at the 1956 Milan Motorcycle Show. This model featured new aluminum alloy cylinders and a carburetor with a 22mm diffuser, increasing the power output to 8 horsepower and enabling a top speed of 105 km/h. The Formichino range was further expanded in 1958 with the introduction of the STEC model, where EC stands for economical. Thanks to a stamped sheet metal body, tubular frame, and a tubular steel front fork, the new model was sold for 125,000 Italian lira, compared to the 138,000 Italian lira of the standard model. Only a few hundred units of the STEC were produced, mainly for export, characterized by a green livery with white stripes on the fuel tank. For more demanding users, a luxury version was available, distinguished by a long seat, aluminum cast passenger footrests, chromed hubcaps, and a chrome embellishment on the rear mudguard. In sports, the Formichino achieved its moment of glory following successes in France on the Parisian Montlhéry track at the Bol d'Or. A special version called Bol d'Or was subsequently made available, designed for endurance races and characterized by a gold livery. Its engine delivered 8.5 horsepower at 7,200 revolutions per minute and could be fitted with 22mm carburetors for even higher performance. Today, the Formichino remains a rare and coveted piece among collectors worldwide. An icon of style, engineering, and bold design, it embodies the innovative spirit of Donnino Rumi and leaves an indelible mark on the history of scooters. We'll stop here, but the road of legends continues. A reminder, Rumi engine spare parts and those for other vintage motorcycles can be found on the website thekingofpiston.com. Wheels keep turning and stories remain. Every motorcycle tells a journey and unveils an era. See you at the next stop, always on 2 wheels and with another piece of history to share.